On the night of Monday, the enemy army of Russians fired missiles at Zaporozhye. Oleksandr Starik, the head of the Zaporozhye OVA, announced this on Telegram, Ukrinform reports. At night, the enemy launched a missile attack on the regional center. Fortunately, the occupier did not achieve his goal. There was no destruction or casualties, he wrote. The old woman warned of the possibility of repeated attacks. An air raid alarm went off in the city. About an hour later there were about 8 explosions. As Ukrinform reported, explosions rocked the center of Kiev on Monday morning. Several houses were damaged. Early in the morning of October 17th, the enemy attacked the capital of Ukraine with kamikaze drones. This was announced by the head of the office of the President of Ukraine Andriy Yermak in Telegram. He writes, "The Russians think that this will help them, but such actions are like agony. We need more air defense systems and as soon as possible. We don't have time for slow action. More weapons to protect the sky and destroy the enemy." So be it, he wrote. As Ukrinform reported, Kiev Mayor Vitaly Klitschko reported explosions in the center of the capital and a fire. Several residential buildings were damaged. Rescuers and paramedics are on the scene. The military of the Russian Federation shelled the Dnipropetrovsk region all night with rockets, grads and heavy artillery. This was announced by the head of the Dnipropetrovsk OVA Valentin Reznichenko on Telegram, Ukrinform reports. Our air defense forces destroyed 3 enemy missiles. 1 missile hit an energy infrastructure facility. There is a strong fire. All services are working at the place of arrival, he wrote. The Russian occupation troops covered the Nikopol area with gradov and heavy artillery fire. More than 30 enemy shells flew there. Damaged houses in the villages of Marganets and Krasnogrigorievsk. Nobody was hurt before. In the Sumy region this morning, Russian troops launched a missile attack on life support facilities. According to Ukrinform, the head of the Sumy Regional Military Administration Dmitry Zivitsky announced this on Telegram. Romensky District. Missile attack on critical infrastructure after 5 a.m. There are people injured. More details later, he said. As Ukrinform reported, on October 16th, the Russian occupiers again fired at the Sumy region. They hit with rockets from helicopters, hit from grads and mortars. Air defense forces are working in the Kiev region. Oleksiy Kuleba, head of the regional state administration, announced this on Telegram, Ukrinform reports. He urged people to stay in cover until the alarm went off. As Ukrinform reported, on the morning of October 17th, Russian troops attacked Kiev using kamikaze drones. According to city chairman Vitaly Klitschko, the explosions took place in the center of Kiev. Several houses were damaged. In the Donetsk region, Russian servicemen killed 4 civilians over the past day, and the bodies of 7 more civilians killed by the invaders during the occupation were also found. According to Ukrinform, the head of the regional state administration Pavel Kirilenko announced this on Telegram. On October 16th, the Russians killed 4 civilians in the Donetsk region, in Bakhmut, Kleshchivka, Zarechny, and Avdiivka. In addition, 7 more civilians were found in Lyman, who were killed by the Russians during the occupation, he said. 10 more residents of the region, according to Kirilenko, were injured by the invaders over the past day. The chairman of the OVA noted that it is currently impossible to establish the exact number of victims in Mariupol and Volnovakha. As Ukrinform reported, according to the regional military administrations, in Ukraine, as a result of the armed aggression of the Russian Federation on October 15, 10 civilians were killed and 14 were injured. 2 more explosions thundered in the Shevchenkovsky district of Kiev. According to Ukrinform, Kiev Mayor Vitaly Klitschko announced this in his telegram. He urged everyone to stay hidden. In turn, the Kiev City Military Administration reports on Telegram that Russian aggressors continue to strike at critical infrastructure in Kiev. Information about the victims is being specified, the report said. KGVA encourages everyone to stay in shelters. As Ukrinform reported, on the morning of October 17th, the enemy attacked Kiev with kamikaze drones. According to city chairman Vitaly Klitschko, the explosions took place in the center of Kiev. Several houses were damaged. At night, Russian troops shelled Slavyansk, Donetsk region. According to Ukrinform, the head of the military-civilian administration of the city, Vadim Lyak, announced this on Facebook. Unfortunately, the city was shelled again at night. The arrivals were nearby. There were no casualties, he said. As Ukrinform reported, over the past day in the Donetsk region, Russian servicemen killed 4 civilians, and the bodies of 7 more civilians killed by the invaders were also found. From February 24 to October 17, the armed forces of Ukraine liquidated about 65,320 Russian occupiers, which is 320 more than the day before. According to Ukrinform, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine announced this on Facebook. According to Ukrinform, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine announced this on Facebook. Also, to date, Ukrainian defenders have destroyed 2,537, plus 8, tanks, 5,205, plus 12, armored fighting vehicles, 1,599, plus 10, artillery installations, 366, plus 1, multiple launch rocket systems, 187, plus 1, air defense systems, 268, plus 0, aircraft, 242, plus 0, helicopters, 1241, plus 17, tactical UAVs, 316, plus 0, cruise missiles, 16, plus 0, ships/boats, 3,969, plus 10, vehicles and tanks, trucks and 144, plus 1, special equipment. The greatest losses, according to the General Staff, the enemy suffered in the Bakhmut and Avdiivsky directions. As Ukrinform reported, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, as of the morning of October 17, Russian troops are concentrating their efforts on attempts to contain the actions of the Ukrainian defense forces in certain directions, while at the same time they are trying to conduct offensive operations in the Bakhmut and Avdiivka directions. In the southern direction of the armed forces of Ukraine this morning, 15 enemy kamikaze drones were destroyed. In the eastern direction, 3 missiles of the occupier. According to Ukrinform, the press service of the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported this on Telegram. On October 17, from 3.30 to 6.50, 15 drones were shot down by the forces and means of air defense of the Yug Aviation Command, 6 over the Odessa region and 9 over the Nikolaev region, the report says. In total, according to the Air Force, on the night of October 17, 26 Shahid-136 enemy drones were destroyed in a southerly direction. As Yuri Ignat, the Speaker of the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, noted during the United News telethon, mainly anti-aircraft missile units were involved in the destruction, but there were also aircraft fighters. In general, according to the representative of the Southern Aviation Command, Major General Karpenko, 100 of them have already been destroyed since the start of the use of the Shaheeds only in the southern direction, the Air Force representative emphasized. It is also reported that Russian troops attacked critical facilities in the eastern direction with cruise missiles of various types. 3 enemy missiles were destroyed by anti-aircraft missile units of the Aviation Command of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. As Ukrinform reported, on the evening of October 16, units of the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine shot down 11 kamikaze drones, with which the enemy attacked the south of Ukraine. Last night, Nikolaev was attacked by kamikaze drones. They hit a pharmacy warehouse and an oil terminal. A fire broke out, and there were also hits in most of the region. Mykolaiv OVA reports this on Facebook, Ukrinform reports. On the night of September 16, at about 22:06, the enemy attacked the city of Nikolaev with Shahid-136 kamikaze drones. 3 drones hit industrial infrastructure and a pharmaceutical warehouse. According to preliminary data, there were no casualties, the statement said. As the mayor Alexander Senkovich clarified, after the hit, tanks with sunflower oil caught fire. A fire also broke out in a pharmaceutical warehouse. On Sunday at 16:05, as a result of the shelling of the village of Pervomaiskia, a social infrastructure facility was damaged. At 22:51, as a result of shelling by Shahid-136 kamikaze drones, a fire broke out in an open area in the village of Kablivo. The Berezhnegovatskia community remains under constant shelling. On the night of October 17, at about 4:20, shelling took place between the 2 settlements. Arrival at an agricultural enterprise. There were no casualties. Detailed information is being specified. Yesterday, from 10 to 11 o'clock, at 1400 hours and at midnight, 2 villages of the Shirokovskaya community were shelled. Hits were on open areas, roads, and outside settlements. There were no casualties. It is also noted that on October 16, from 21:30 to 22:30, Russian occupying forces attacked the Mykolaiv region using Shahid-136 kamikaze drones. 11 of them were shot down in the area. As reported, as a result of a massive rocket attack on Mykolaiv on October 13, 8 people were killed. Russia launched a missile attack on the Odessa region. The Kh-59 missile was fired from a Su-35 aircraft and hit an infrastructure facility. This was reported in OK, South, reports Ukrinform. Continuing to terrorize the southern regions, the enemy launched a missile attack on the Odessa region. From the side of the Black Sea, a Su-35 aircraft launched a Kh-59 missile system, which hit one of the region's infrastructure facilities. There are no human losses, the statement said. As Ukrinform reported, as of 9 o'clock on Monday, 4 enemy strikes were recorded in Kiev. There are hits in a residential building in the Shevchenko district. This morning, units of the armed forces of Ukraine destroyed another 11 enemy kamikaze drones. According to Ukrinform, the press service of the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported this on Telegram. In the zone of responsibility of the Central Aviation Command, and these are the northern and central regions of the country, anti-aircraft missile units and fighter aircraft destroyed 9 Shahid-136 kamikaze drones, the Air Force noted. It is reported that as a result of the combat work of the air defense of the ground forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, at least 2 more Shahids were destroyed in this direction. According to updated data, all kamikaze drone attacks on the capital, in particular, were carried out from the south. As Ukrinform reported, on the morning of October 17, the armed forces of Ukraine destroyed 15 enemy kamikaze drones in the southern direction and 3 occupier missiles in the eastern direction. On Sunday, October 16, the border villages of Velikopizarevskaya, Krasnopolskaya and Belopolskaya of the Sumy region were shelled from the territory of the Russian Federation. This is stated in the message of the State Border Service, Ukrinform reports. The enemy inflicted a fire defeat using aviation missiles, MLRS, mortars, and small arms. In the afternoon, the enemy from the Russian village of Zaporozhye covered the territory of the village of Velikopizarevskaya from the MLRS Grad. More than a dozen explosions were heard. Subsequently, from the territory of Russia, 2 helicopters made a total of 24 rocket launches that exploded on the outskirts of one of the settlements of the same settlement. Subsequently, the enemy fired at the territory of the Belopolsky bulk from 120 mm mortars. More than 100 explosions sounded. The fire was fired from the direction of the Russian village of Krasnooktyabrski. As a result of the shelling, a critical infrastructure facility was damaged. By evening, the invaders fired machine guns at the Krasnopolsky border settlements from their territory. Several bursts sounded. There were no casualties. As reported, in the south of the armed forces of Ukraine in the morning they destroyed 15 kamikaze drones, in the east, 3 enemy missiles.